We have a comment. Thank you so much. What does it say? Mark's Random Adventures says he's excited for this. This is awesome. We're excited for this.
Yes, it's actually a good chapter. It's real good.
No, this is one of my favorite sections of the book because this is actually one that we were so excited about that we actually talked about it last time. Do you remember that?
Mm-hmm.
We got a little bit ahead of ourselves.
Yes, it's a lot of the conception of NASCAR. A lot of neat stuff in this. Just a lot of neat stuff in here.
And I feel like so far this I guess 2 chapters that we read, the Fabulous Hudson Hornet. What was the name of the other chapter? It's almost like I read it a million years ago, which is not true. And the cover of the Saturday Evening Post. I feel like this really sets the stage for who Smokey is. Honestly, if I was to pick anything from what we've read so far to introduce somebody to Smokey, it wouldn't necessarily be anything in the first book because that's sort of I don't know, that's sort of fringe of his story. I mean, sets up definitely his character, but not his importance in the history of racing and everything that he did. I feel like what we just read, we went over his history with GM, his history with Ford, his first invention
with Hornets, yes, the spark plug, history of the spark plug.
Yes,
and even dabbles in what was the problem with plugs back then.
Yes.
And it's real interesting how that went in and how even then he had to be true to himself. So he didn't want to lie, and everybody wants to think, well, cheat or lie or whatever, right? And to not to lie, I don't want to get to it already, or maybe we all already do. Who knows? We'll get to the spark plug section. So to not lie, the spark plugs were on the car.
Yeah, yes, so that was actually, in reviewing my, okay, we'll set the chicken timer. We just have to warm up. We have to welcome people into the room.
We have to, while y'all are getting ready, we're going to get ready.
We'll get ready.
Get ready because it doesn't officially start until I have
same here.
Beer. We work all day, so...
oh my God, I'm ready for this. So welcome to Automotive Book Club Live. I see a lot of our regular names in the room. Hi, Hurt11. And I'm seeing some new names in the room as well. Obviously, we got Terry, we've got Emily. Hi, we've got Superman88. Excellent. Always good to see Superman 88 in the room. And Brian is running from the chicken timer. So we've got some regulars and we've got some newbies. So for those of you who are new in the room, to sort of explain what's going on. So we're back to timers. Yes, these are chicken timers. We are back to our normal schedule of Wednesday's book club and Friday happy hour. They're actually loud. We gotta quiet them down. Or maybe keep them back there. We'll banish them. We'll banish them
to the back.
Yeah, we're gonna banish them to the back. So we're not gonna do every single Wednesday. We're gonna do sort of every other and sort of have a little bit more chunks of the book that we're gonna be digesting just for the sake of our schedules. And
then y'all can also give us a little feedback of speed up, slow down. You're okay.
Definitely, let us know. Was this a good amount of reading? Do you wish that we had read more? Well, I don't know. It was a lot of reading. I don't have a lot of free time, so my ability to get the reading done sometimes is a struggle. But I like the extended period of time that we have, and a lot of people are saying they could read more, and some people read ahead, which I think is great. But I don't know. I like going slow because it gives me a chance to go through and research some of the people, some of the characters.
And this is our second go around. For some of us that have been here with us last year or when we first started this, we kind of went back on to this book because we didn't finish it. So we thought we would start again.
It's
glad. Every time you read it, it's a little nugget of something that comes out there. Yes.
Oh my God. All right, well, we'll start with some cheers. Cheers. Welcome to Automotive Book Club Live. And unlike the ASC study questions where you get a question wrong, you drink, you get a question right, you drink, we just drink the entire time we read because it just makes the reading more fun.
It's after hours. It's already dark in Texas.
It is already dark. So I want to start off today with some rapid fire questions. All right, you ready for this?
All right.
First rapid fire question, let us know in the chats what you think the answers are. All right, Smokey was paid blank dollars to build engines for Herb Thomas.
I don't want to look at my notes, but I think I know it.
How much was Smokey paid per engine to build the engines for Herb Thomas?
Mm-hmm. And this was for the Hudson. That was
that's on page 40.
For the complete build. That was to build a race motor. That was to build a race motor.
Yep.
Yep, I was right. Anybody?
Peanuts.
Peanut. It was peanuts. But how many peanuts is what we want to know.
Yeah, so $12K a year. Oh, Hurton, that was good, but that was his contract with GM. Wasn't it right?
Yes, I think he's right. For GM, not for the Hudson Hornet.
So this was earlier than that. Yes. So the answer is on page 40.
Anybody want to receive?
I know.
If one person was like, all
right, well, I'll take a drink while I'm waiting for the answer. This is rapid fire, people. Just rapid it.
Okay,
rapid fire.
Let's just.
We'll take a drink for answers. I see none. All right, so on page 40, the answer. I was going to read from the book. So I'm offered the fabulous sum of $200 an engine, period, to build engines for Herb Thomas. That includes everything: spark plugs, oil, rings, which are free from the vendors. And I got any part of the Hudson made for their engine at no cost. And then he had to babysit the engines on top of that.
Yes,
so.
and then
putting things in perspective.
He got DQ'd. So he was ready. He even told him, I'm out of here. We're done. We're out of here. We're going home. He was really bummed. He started drinking. And then it was like, no, we're going to race tomorrow. We got to race. We don't have an engine. We don't have an engine. We're done. And what did he say? Take me to across street to get a mule. I'll ride a mule home. Give me he had several different ways to get home. To take me to the bus stop, and I'll take a bus to get home. They said, no, we're going to race. And he says, no, we're not. If I have to go buy a mule from across the street, I'm riding the mule home. Yeah,
and this story, I feel like we get definitely an insight into Smokey's attitude. So if you are new to the world of Smokey Unique, this chapter, I feel like we're sort of starting out, and he can be kind of tough. It's interesting. Like I feel like he's a character that's very bipolar. Like sometimes he is such a stickler, and he will hold strong. He will hold steadfast. And he'll throw down the gauntlet and be like, no. And then other times in the book, which we see like sort of towards the end of this reading, he kind of gets walked all over. So
and Hurton was right. And Hurton was right because then, so they didn't have an engine, and the answer was take the engine out of the tow vehicle and build it. You got it overnight.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, but he was angry because he was he was disqualified there. Because people thought that he was cheating, right?
And if you read some of those,
the cylinder block and the cylinder head
had changed cams himself. That's how he found out how to change the cam, because the back of the barn, the piece of wood moved.
Yes.
And he knew that they were, and it's like,
Exactly. So this is something that I really want to talk about, and I really want to sort of hear from y'all what you think too, because really a lot of people, when I talk about Smokey Unique, it's like, just to random people that are not a part of book club, there's a visceral reaction that people tend to have if they know anything about him. It's like, oh yeah, the cheater. And so I really want to talk about this, because here we see, he straight up says, okay, the cylinder, so I'm reading from page 43. The inspector comes over. Back then we had to pull the cylinder head and the oil pan as well as pull the cam off. After he looks, he says, the cylinder block and the cylinder head are illegal. Well, that means another engine. Well, I don't have a spare engine, so I think, Smokey, you're in one hell of a jam here. You're about to lose your $1 an hour Major League Racing job. You got 2 more days to build another engine and won't get paid because can't use the illegal ones. And he's putting illegal in air quotes. Now, as Danny had mentioned earlier, like they're working. First of all, like the working conditions in the pits,
dirt floors.
Man, and here I am feeling sorry for myself. I was pulling the block in the 88 out of the dirt, and it's all wobbly, and like I'm on a super uneven surface. I'm like, oh my god, I need to pave my driveway, and I'm all feeling sorry for myself. And then literally that night I'm reading this part where like the working conditions in the pits. I'm actually gonna read that. Was it Darlington? I think is where they're literally like working in the mud. But he's in a barn.
He's in a barn with dirt floors in it.
With dirt floors.
And you're trying to build a race engine.
Yeah. Could you? I've got every time. I feel like this book really just like speaks to my soul, because literally every time I start feeling bad about myself or for myself about something that I'm doing, like, oh, like this is crappy, like all these other people have these nice shops and here I am working out on the street on the dirt and it's all tilted. It's like I feel sorry for myself. And then I read this about Smokey literally building race engines,
and like, you find out
dirt and the mud, and it's always raining, and he says the jack like sinks into the mud.
And what did we find out? This is the first I've ever heard of, and this was early on. I think I wrote it down 1955, 57.
Yeah.
And this was the first.
1954.
This was the first sealed engine.
Oh, yes.
They put banding straps over the valve covers and oil pan
to keep them
and then
from
over the
cheating.
front by the timing cover.
Yes, and it was only on Smokies. However,
So now, if you know anything about any kind of racing now, they have sealed engines. So by a sealed engine, they have special bolts that are almost like the ones that are in the bathroom, the security ones that you can only tighten. It's a special bolt with a round head.
And the nut on it. The bathroom bolts? Like, who would
who wants a bathroom bolt? But
who would take apart the stalls like in the airport? Isn't that weird? Like those security. I'm sorry.
I digress. So the engines now are sealed. So if you run on a certain sanctioned race, if you use a sealed motor, a certified motor, you can actually get some advantage of it. If you don't use a certified sealed motor, depending on what class you're running, then you have to add 50 pounds to the car. But if you use one of the sealed motors, you don't have to. In certain races, you can only use sealed motors, especially in NASCAR. You can't. So once it's gone through inspection and tech, they seal it. After the race, they come and look for their seals. If the seals have been tampered with, you're out. Well, there wasn't any of that. This is the first.
Yeah, this is the beginning. And also, though, he's constantly putting quotation marks around illegal, which makes me think that he doesn't actually think they're illegal. But I mean, he does. Okay. I'm on Team Smokey. I'm on Team Smokey. I don't want to ever think of him as a cheater. He does, in this chapter section, he does actually refer to himself as cheating and as doing something illegal.
He didn't want to give up the cylinder heads. If you read, like I said, the more times that you read it, you get a little more like, oh, he didn't want to give up the cylinder heads up to inspection. Okay, back then the cylinder port had to be certain amount of cc's in a port. Well, Smokey being Smokey and real smart, so he figured out that by cooling or heating water, it wasn't even water, it was fuel.
Yes.
So he could change the cc's of it. So he had already determined that he passed tech in his mind by chilling the fuel that he cc'd the port with.
Right.
So if he had to go to that extreme, he could go, it just says that it must be this many cc's. So, but he didn't want to even give up the head because he kind of knew if they cc'd it the old-fashioned way, it would probably be DQ'd. But the rules didn't mention what temperature the fluid had to be and what fluid you had to use. So we already see early on, he didn't want to give up the intake and the cylinder head. If you read that, didn't want to give that up. So he managed a way to pull the camshaft out
without pulling
the head off, because you couldn't pull a camshaft out of a Hudson.
And I gotta say though, we've got a whole bunch of chats going on, and Hudson is nailing it. He remembers exactly from this chapter that not only was he working in the barn, but yes, he actually used a tree to hoist the engine out of the vehicle. I'm lucky I have an engine hoist, so geez, Faye, kind of just put yourself in check. And then also I love Hurton's comment, the early days of any sport are rife with experimentation, and the rules are still in flux, and have to see Smokey in this light. Yes, and Smokey makes a bunch of references to this. It's like with the tires, and with the camshaft, and the lobe, there's a fly, or something. And how there was specifications on the duration of the cam and the lobe height, but not the position of the lobe center.
The lobe center,
yes, so it's there he is, he's looking at the rule book and he is playing by the rules.
And in those rules, you can only open a valve so high, so they would just check, and as long as you didn't have a higher lift cam, then you're okay. But they didn't give him you could actually spread the lobe centers and really change the way that an engine RPMs. If you spread the lobe center a lot, RPM's a lot higher. You tighten up the lobe center line, the RPM comes down lower. So he started playing with lobe separation. So when you're just checking the lift, and but then they brought in a cam doctor.
Oh.
They brought in remember they brought in a
yes.
But still they didn't. So anyway, he was just reading the books and following what it says you couldn't do. He didn't do.
Okay, so everyone that read this chapter, I want your honest opinion, and we're gonna look through the chats in a second, and I'm gonna continue on with a couple more rapid fires.
Yes,
but I want to know, what do y'all actually think now that you've read this part? And we've obviously got a lot more of this book to read, so our opinions may change. But do you actually think that Smokey was way different than everyone else in terms of cheating a whole ton? Was he cheating the same amount as everyone else, or was he just being really careful with the rules and playing by the rules, but stretching the rules? What are y'all's honest opinion at this point from reading the book
and Hurt is really helping on this is why it's not just us here. It feels a lot better when it's like we're all in this together. Good question, Hurton. Hurton wants to know, does anyone know why the camshaft was broken?
Why he smashed the cam?
Why he smashed the cam?
Yeah.
So we'll let somebody else. It's it's neat.
No, definitely. All right, so Hurton's got a rapid fire question there. Why did Smokey smash the cam in pieces?
In pieces.
When he was asked for the inspection part.
Smokey worked the gray line. Yes, he did work the gray line.
Oh.
It was just a fine line.
Yeah.
But there's a fine line between first and second.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's one of those things too, where like, you know, the NASCAR rules really changed with Bill France's like ideas of whatever was like in the spirit of the, what do you call it, the spirit of the race.
Yes, and actually you do have a good point of Bill France in the spirit of so I've got
to say though, actually the topic of Bill France, here's one thing I really appreciate about Smokey. It's like nowadays I feel like everything is so black and white, good or bad, like good or evil or like whatever. It's like we are so quick to put something or someone in a category of good or bad. And I gotta say I really appreciate that Smokey really gives credit where credit is due. Right away in this chapter, he mentions, actually I think it's like, is it the first or second? No, it's the second page. All right, a side note, did you know that Congress was, in the early 50s, in the process of banning automobile racing in the United States? I've got to give France a gold star here. He played a big part in defeating that idea. So, you know,
his good...
It makes me trust him. It makes me trust him more because he's not so biased. Because he clearly doesn't like Bill France. Like, we know he doesn't like Bill France.
Because he was in the spirit of racing, remember? The rules were in the spirit of racing, so...
Annoying.
Bill France knows that...
It's like a mom saying, like, to their kid, because I said so. Like,
yes,
no,
that's actually kind of... Exactly, that was his answer, like, because I said so, in the spirit of racing. And the thing was, Bill France... If NASCAR or lost money, we wouldn't have racing year two.
Yeah.
So he has to make money.
Exactly.
Okay? And so... He would actually waive the rules to get to GM to come in. Remember when he wanted... He's the one why Smokey went to go work for GM to help him out.
Yes.
He didn't want to.
Yes.
But Bill France wanted to put that deal together. Smokey and GM. So we can have some Chevys now racing.
Yeah.
And Smokey was even opposed to that. But Bill France, because he knew... You got to bring in spectators. You got to bring in cars. You got to bring in manufacturers. If manufacturers don't come in, spectators and cars and racers are just like a ground roots racing, but it's never going to be something.
Yeah.
We need the manufacturers.
Yeah.
So in the spirit of racing,
Smokey understood that too, and I think that's why he did those things for Bill France. I mean, I don't know. Anyway, okay, rapid fire question number 2.
Okay.
This is going to require some props. Danny, would you please grab the mixed nuts?
Oh yes.
Smokey knew Paul Goldsmith was going to be a great driver because he... Fill in the blank. All right, rapid fire. Smokey knew that Paul Goldsmith was going to be a great driver because he... Fill in the blank. I've only got 4 rapid fire questions today, but this is something that, like, as we move forward reading the book, though, this is something that I really want to really focus on is Smokey as a rule bender. Was he actually a cheater or was he just a rule bender? I feel like my opinion of him has changed after reading the book and after, like, you know, initial first impressions. And, like, you know, this guy is obviously, you know, he's obviously
I'm biased.
Yeah, we're both biased now because we read the book, but I don't know. We've got some answers. Pulled a snake out of a can of nuts. Okay, all right, do it up.
There you go.
Wait.
So
I'm a good racer. This one makes me laugh. I can't. Wait, who gave these to us? This is from one of y'all.
Yes, I think
gave us these.
Both of them were from.
Shoot, yeah.
So these are cool.
All right, well, out yourself.
And it's literally what Smokey did. Literally what he did was he had one of these on his table, and it was a can of nuts. And when you pulled it off, this came flying out of it.
Yes.
And no one.
Even Fireball, even if Fireball knew that the snake was coming,
and then he couldn't even
catch it. However, the first time that Paul Goldsmith, or Goldie, who was originally a motorcycle racer and was new to the automotive world, that was how Smokey, like, picked his drivers. Was based on their reflexes. Smokey was just an interesting. What an interesting.
He wanted to see your response, and like I said.
All right, well, all right.
And he was pretty.
Give me that.
He was pretty amazed that he did it. And he, like I said, Fireball, even knowing he was in there, practicing, couldn't do it. So it is.
Hit myself in the face with it. Okay, one more.
Which Paul Goldsmith was the second best driver ever in Smokey's eyes.
Yes. So
the rapid fire question that I'm asking: who was the first best?
That was
driver?
my rapid fire question from last time. You can't ask the same question twice. Oh my god!
No wonder it's in my notes.
Oh my god! Well, I'm having a hard time with the snake right now. So, okay. Rapid fire question number 3.
What?
Smokey got his winning tires from. Where did he get his? Hurton knows the answer. Like
Hurton did homework.
He's on. Yes, Hurton's reading the book. Smokey got his winning tires from. The junkyard at $1 each. Yep, that is correct. Which I think is so funny. I'm having a hard time getting the snake back in the nuts. I can't get the snake back in the nuts.
That's
forget catching the snake. I can't even get the snake in the nuts. Which makes sense. I'm not the best driver in the world. I mean, I'm a good driver on the street, but like I don't have any like race car training or experience really. So, all right, one more question just because this one was weird. The Hudson Hornet. I'm sorry. The Hudson Company was owned by who? This is weird. Do you remember this? Hudson Automotive Company was owned by who? All right. I don't know. Oh!
I'm going to ask. Was that Chapman?
It was the Queen of Holland.
Okay. So
that was weird. I'm like, really? I was thinking I was gonna fact check that one and I didn't.
So Chapman.
Also, I want to say shout out. Thank you so much to Cordell Gigglesworth. Hi, Faye, loved your 5VZ timing belt video. Thank you so much. That was that one took a lot of effort to make. That was a long video. So thank you. I appreciate that. Okay, so yeah, he got the winning tires from a junkyard for $1 each. And yeah, Hudson was owned by the Queen of Holland. Very strange. So a few things that I really want to touch on with this in this chapter. So I do really want to discuss the cheating aspect. I also really want to talk about. I've already mentioned the cheating aspect like a million times, but this is something I really want to dive deep in. I also love the cherry bomb story. Can we talk about the cherry bomb story really quickly? I don't even know what page that's.
I know Art knows about the cherry bomb story. It goes back to his first. I don't know. I shouldn't say his first tech. It's his first talking about.
Right. This is
going through tech.
Back to the Hudson. He has been told that he had to have another engine.
Mm-hmm. The engine got DQ'd.
Yep.
He could use the parts from it, but he pulled the one out of his tow vehicle.
Yep.
And then he had to build it. Oh.
And now he's in this barn with a dirt floor, and there's there's all these bleachers around. Oh, what's that?
Yes.
Oh.
They actually focused in on him. Not only are you going to build this motor again because you want to race tomorrow, they put up 100 sand bleachers.
Yes, bleachers all around. So
and the National Guard was there and security, and he had to assemble the motor in front of everybody.
And
so,
now,
by the way, when you assemble the motor, you're going to do it in a crowd.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Actually, when I was at SEMA, not this year because I didn't go, but the year before, I saw at the Toyota booth. There was this amazing guy. I still have no idea who this is. I gotta look him up. But there's this guy that tore down and rebuilt a Toyota engine in the Toyota booth at SEMA, in front of everyone. I was like, there's no way. I'd be so stressed out.
I love going to the Chevy booth and they do the new Corvette.
Oh, they do.
They tear it down and put it together, and I'll sit there for hours and people going we're gonna go now.
I can't remember. It wasn't a super engine. I think it was a 2AZ. It was a 4-cylinder engine. Maybe the 2ZR. I can't really remember. But it was a tear down and rebuild of a 4-cylinder engine. This guy did right in the middle of the street. And there were people all around him, and they were asking him questions. They were distracting him. I would have put massive headphones on and been like, no.
Yeah, this guy was in had a little mic.
Yeah, he was talking the entire time. I was like, no. People have asked me to go to a car show and the whole time do a project, and I'm like, man, it'd have to be something that was so easy for me that I could do it without thinking, because I I put like 100% of my thought into what I'm doing. I can't answer questions at the same time. So imagine the stress that Smokey was under. Because
these guys are going to race it. You're at a show and it's not, like at the Chevy booth, they were doing this every day, turning
apart, putting it together. Like, I could go to the show.
It's never going to run.
Yeah, exactly.
It's never going to run.
Exactly.
But now, by the way, we put up bleachers for 100 people. We have security, and you're going to assemble it in front of everybody.
I know. Could you imagine the stress? Y'all? I would cave to the pressure. But
so what did he do?
Super cool about it.
So what did he do?
He drank some whiskey.
Yes.
No.
Well, he did do that too.
He did that too. But this was after, of course, already knowing that here he is having to build this engine in front of everyone, and he already caught another team cheating. So he knows that there's already a bunch of illegal engines there, and he mentions this a few times. It's like. I wish that I'm not sure if I highlighted
Budmore was making comments. People were talking about how he saw Smokey or something in the pits late at night, and the point being they locked the pits up at 9 o'clock at night or something.
Don't it get you wondering? This is on page 47. Yes. Don't it get you wondering what the hell Bud was doing around the impound area at night?
Because Smokey wasn't there. He was at the hotel doing that, but Budmore was.
He had a lady at the hotel.
Yeah,
that was occupying his time.
The banker's wife. Yes.
It was at the okay.
It was
but yeah, and also on page 46, I want to bring up. Obviously we already talked about. There's nothing in the rule book about lobe centers. Sure, there was a confusing, unclear sentence about cam had to have stock dimensions. Stock cam dimensions varied from 0.002 to 0.005, and the lobe centers I used varied about 12 degrees. Well, my engine ends up all the same but the block. You're thinking, dirty cheater, right? Well, of the 75 cams that Charlie checked, I bet that at most 10 were running the race. So you sort of had to play by everyone else's rules in order to be a contender, and that's why I'm saying it's like, why is Smokey known as the cheater when it's like everyone else is doing the same thing?
And he got the idea of changing the cam because of Budmore.
Yeah.
You saw him doing it. And how to do it from the back of the building. So that's the way, but that doesn't matter. You don't hear about that.
Yeah.
When you're right at the edge of the line, you're reading, and it doesn't say, they actually had to add into the rule books. If it doesn't say you can, you can't.
Yes.
But it never used to say that before.
Yes.
It was you just can't do what it says you can't do, and then they had to end it. Then. If it doesn't say you can, you can't.
And then also imagine the stress and pressure. Like, this is something I was thinking of too. It's like, all right, so everyone knew that he was disqualified for something illegal in the engine to begin with. Then he's rebuilding the motor in front of this these stands of all these people. Then he's got a race. And so then he's got to live up to this idea of that, like, what if that engine, like, what if the car performs poorly now? It's like Smokey's going to be nothing without cheating, right? So, like, not only does he have to build a good motor, but they also have to place well to hold up his reputation. And it's like, imagine the audacity of someone where, like, the sign on their shop says best damn garage in town. It's like, he is so, like, he's got a lot of balls.
So how did he, should we say distract? That's his own words.
Yes.
How was he able to assemble this motor in front of everybody?
All right.
Anybody?
So,
I know the Hurton's going to get it.
Yeah, he already mentioned it.
I think the bathtub with gas and parts.
Yeah, he already knew. So I know that if you light a cherry bomb fuse and throw it hard into a container of gasoline, that all that will happen is nothing. The fuse will go out, no oxygen, but 9,999 people out of 10,000 don't know that. Do you want to guess what the bleachers looked like when the first cherry bomb went into the tub? Right. Was it a bathtub? It was just like a cleaning tub.
It was a bathtub with gas in it.
Gas in it.
And then he cleaned the blocks in there first, so it got all black.
Which is
so you can't see what's inside it. It is pretty.
It's brilliant because then he dropped a cam in there.
Well, and then he forgot which cam.
So
he had to go redo it again.
Yep.
So
then after they raced, they did really well.
And then now we know
we're only on like the second page, and we're like halfway into the stream.
And then now we kind of know
book.
of how the cam was in so many pieces.
Huh?
now we kind of know how the cam was in so many pieces, because now they go out there, they race, they do really well.
Yes.
He does really good.
And then they say,
and then all of a sudden,
tear down the motor.
Well,
we have to inspect
now all of a sudden
it again.
now all of a sudden we got a new rule. We're gonna tech first, second, and third place. They weren't doing that before.
Right.
So now for first, second, and third have to come back, and we're gonna tear those down again because you passed tech before. Now Smokey's was the only one that had to have a band on it, and it was one of those shipping bands that goes around a pallet. It was so they did that. But now all of a sudden, new rule. Bring the cars back, and we're going to tear them down again after the race. Smokey's ready to get out of there again. So that's how that happens with the camshaft.
Yes. I'm going to read this part because I highlighted this on page 49 because this is the only time so far that Smokey has written specifically in the book that he did something illegal and he was cheating. So, like, all right. What are y'all's thoughts on this? Okay. Well, about 7 o'clock p.m. we get a crowd. No! Oh, is that halfway?
That's halfway.
Okay. Shop Mom, do we have any emails? Or
No.
Yes?
No.
No. Okay. No emails.
Nobody's emailing.
By the way, if you would like to communicate with us, will you move that a little bit?
Yeah.
You can send us an email and we will read it live on the air. To therealshopmom@gmail.com. If you write something like nasty or rude to us, well, we will never see it because Shop Mom is the gatekeeper. So go ahead.
But she will find you. No.
No, she'll just ignore you and be like, oh, that person. We feel sorry for that person if they're that miserable that they watch a show that they don't like. Like, what are you doing? On the hostages. So you can send us an email to therealshopmom@gmail.com and we will read that. Or if you'd like to send us a voicemail, 830-308-8590. You can give us a call. We're not going to pick up the phone. Leave us a voicemail and we'll play it. Or if you're more of like the texting type, you can also text this phone number and we'll read it. So we do that at halftime. So no one today. No one really.
Actually, we did get one that
Oh.
he specifically asked that we not share.
And she does-
So, and in that case, we will respect your wishes
Yes.
also.
If you just want to like leave us a positive message, leave us a negative message if you want. It'll never get to us.
There's
So we're sorry about that.
there's some people that just felt like they needed somebody to talk to or somebody to say something. They weren't saying anything bad. Don't get me wrong. They needed someone to hear that their mom died or there's something that was
that's terrible.
and well, but they reached out to just leave a message of encouragement and that's okay too. Just Shop Mom. Pray for me. Whatever the thing. So some people
we also get prayer requests.
Yeah, some people just
We fulfill prayer requests.
So we
not
can get
on the show.
No,
but,
it's not going to be here. We're not
personally.
going to put your thing on there. But some people have just reached out that something in their life is going on, and this was kind of inspiring to them, or something. It made them laugh in a time that someone passed, and they didn't think they could laugh, and they felt like I'm going to write it down and share it. And if it helped them share it, it was neat to hear that anyway. So anyway,
Also, I got a question from Chris, and I want to answer that right away. ASC questions today. No, those are on Friday. So on Friday we do happy hour, and that's when we do our ASC test questions. On Wednesdays is book club.
It's all Smokey. I used to talk Smokey all the time, even on Friday. So we had to separate.
We had to separate it.
Not because me, I can talk Smokey all the time. But
As the song says, you have to keep them separated.
Yeah, we do. Otherwise, all that we would do is talk Smokey, and we had to.
We'd have a 4-hour show.
We had to calm it down.
Yes.
We had to calm it down. Some people just don't want to hear about Smokey all the time, and they can leave the channel. All right. So anyway.
Then don't come on Wednesday if you don't want to.
Yeah. So
this is all Smokey all the time.
So to answer your question, Chris, our next Shop Mom, our next ASE happy hour is December 3rd.
Yes.
All right. So December 3rd at 3:30. Am I right?
Yes.
3:30 Central Time. We'll be doing ASC test questions. So meet back up with us after T gives, and we will see you for ASC test questions. I've actually got a couple of good ones that I've been saving up. So
everybody's loving the ASC test questions.
I love them.
We even did them at the we did live stream on Friday.
We had 5 planned, and we got through 2, but that's okay. We had a lot to say. And some people got to see Megan for the first time, which is pretty exciting. A lot of people really enjoyed seeing Megan. So we will have her guest again in the future. But
I wanted to answer.
Okay.
I wanted to answer Crazy
Yes.
Booger. No, Faye is not getting drunk.
Oh.
It's his name, Crazy Booger. I don't know. It's in Spanish, but
Moco Loco.
Moco Loco means crazy booger. You know, like a booger in your nose. I don't know.
Oh.
But anyway.
Oh,
I just had to answer.
Oh, because I poured a
but
second
cheers
one.
to
No, this is a...
Lazy Booger.
I'm drinking some light stuff. I drink kombucha beer, so it's like, it's pretty chill.
And besides which, we don't judge.
Oh,
Yeah.
But I have gotten drunk on the show before, and I've like, we've had some emotional
You need to go
moments.
back in the archives, and we've had some really good ones. And what we've learned is
We have no
that,
shame here.
No, and we just really get involved, and it was lots of fun. It was a lot of fun. And
But I've noticed that a lot of mechanics, it's a thing. It's like we're a drinking live stream that just happens to talk about cars. We're a drinking live stream that just happens to be book club. Anyway, so
Okay.
But I want to read from page 49 because this I feel like was really important. So okay, picking up from where you left off, I don't pull a cylinder head. I can't. It's illegal as hell. And he did not put illegal in air quotes, or quotes, my air quotes. He said in the book it was illegal as hell. This comes under the heading of defensive cheating, he says. So he's kind of calling himself a cheater.
he knew he was pushing the line.
He knew he was pushing the line. However, I read defensive cheating, and I'm thinking to myself, that's because everyone else is doing it too. And he's just trying to stay on an even keel with every other competitor. I found that if I used gasoline to measure the capacity of cylinder head cavity and cooled the gas with dry ice, I got a lot better, higher compression ratio. Rulebook didn't say the type of fluid or the temperature.
So he was just, and so without even going there, he was just overthinking, following the rules, but using your own rules. It's like, I'm going to slay you with your own knife. You know,
Yes.
I'm going to just, using your own rules,
Yes.
you know, but he just knew, yeah.
So I had to
don't
quickly
pull it.
invent a way to get the cam out with the head on. And then later on, to Hurton's point, it had to get inspected. So he grabbed the cam by the front, snacked the bench as hard as he could with the back end. Now he had a 4-piece cam. Cams then were chilled iron. So why did he snack the cam? I think it was because he wanted to know where the markings were being made. What do you think?
Well, yeah, because he kept on asking the tech guy,
Yep.
where did you mark it? The tech guy turned around and he engraved somewhere on it where he would know, but only he would know. So of course the tech guy's not going to tell you. Well, he kept on asking him over and over again, to the front of the cam, the middle of the cam, the back of the cam. Just he wouldn't say. So at the end, then he drops the cam and then he actually whacks it on the table and breaks it into pieces. When the guy comes to pick up the cam to take it to the tech guy, he goes, "Well, it broke. What piece did the tech guy want?" The tech guy wants the back of the cam.
So now
he knows. He gave him the back of the cam, and it passed. But yes, that wasn't the cam that was in the motor.
Right.
Yeah.
He switched it.
That
out
was the engraved
at the time.
cam that got okayed to begin with.
Yeah.
Like Smokey even said, they weren't testing lobe centers yet, but they brought in this machine. So he didn't know what they were going to really test. So it really wasn't legal or illegal. He just, it was just fun. It was
Right.
just cool. So yeah,
But do y'all remember what the name of Smokey's foundation was?
Mm-hmm.
It didn't say you couldn't.
Oh!
Yes,
That's
he
right.
started a foundation for college kids. So it didn't say you couldn't.
I love that.
Yes.
So, gosh, it's gonna take us forever to get through this book.
This
This is why
pace.
we don't. I know. This is why we don't read a lot because there's just so much to dive into, and I love talking about it. And as Hurton said, he says Danny's explanation is the best. Didn't understand it before, so I love taking a second to sort of deep dive into parts of the book.
He dropped it in the dirt because they had dirt floors.
Yep.
So he couldn't hand it to him dirty. So then he put it back into the solvent to wash it off. Grabbed the right cam, the one that was engraved.
Not the one that was
But he still didn't know what they were going to look for. So like I said, it's easier just to break it and oh my God, it broke.
Oops.
So what part does he want to look at? So anyway, that's it.
The next thing I want. Okay, so I want to talk about so much. Okay. But spark plugs. Can we talk about the spark plugs on page 50 through 53 in the book? By the way, if you're just joining us, because I see there's a lot of new folks in the room, this is the Automotive Book Club Live. Thank you for being here. We are reading the second book in the Smokey Unique trilogy, and this one is called All Right, Ye Sons of Ships, Let's Have a Race. It's about Smokey's racing years. So,
And this is a good one for people that, if you're going to read all 3 books, The first one is really good to get you to the essence of Smokey.
Yeah.
But it's in war. He's really a war hero and stuff. So you might not have the patience for that. If you've just finally kind of read a little bit about Smokey and you go, oh, he's that race car guy, then this would probably be the book that you're expecting.
Yeah. People that are just like race fans or don't even necessarily care about Smokey. Which you should care about Smokey, but if you don't.
And the spark plugs is a really good one.
The spark plugs is awesome.
Because it shows one of the things that will go with the spark plugs.
Yeah, so I'm starting from page 50. We always had spark plug trouble. Only one company made a so-called race plug, and that was Champion. But they made the plugs for Indy cars, racing airplanes, and big race boats. Okay. Do you want to dive into spark plugs? I feel like this is... You were telling the story last time, and I think you did a really good job. I could just read it, but I feel like...
Well, just the spark plugs would fall out. They were not very good. Wow. We're gonna take a time to thank Juan.
Juan!
Thank you very much, Juan.
We'll drink to that.
Oh
my God!
Juan Molina is one of our regulars from way back. Thanks, Juan.
Oh, Pachanga Friday is on me.
I recognize his name, and he knows Pachanga. So so he's one of us.
Yeah, he is. He's a local.
Didn't Juan brought me beer?
Yes.
I thought we were gonna see him at the auto show. To be honest.
You missed it at the auto show, Juan.
Yeah.
But okay.
That was fun.
We're going back to the spark plugs.
Spark plug. Okay, so he was offered. Smokey was offered $500 a race to run these specific spark plugs. We'll start there.
Okay.
Smokey knows that these plugs aren't worth a shit, quote unquote. They're even worse than the Champions. However, he says if you're racing for $500 to win, and you get $500 just to run a certain spark plug, well, you see how easy it would be to become a spark plug prostitute. But I had to quit after a year, money or no money, because of how bad the plugs were. So Smokey has had a rash of bad spark plugs. And he was offered, I think, what Prestolite, Autolite.
It would be before Autolite.
I'm so sorry.
Before Autolite was Prestolite.
Yeah.
So that's why I kind of got into
sorry. Yeah, I was going ahead.
And so he had talked to them before, and what happened to spark plugs? They were short reach plugs, and there was an issue that everybody would run a cold plug. Everybody would run a cold plug. The problem is that if you started building a race motor and you had too much fuel in the manifold, you could literally flood the plug out. Then you have a misplug.
Yes.
Chevrolet had a problem of placing the plug lower in the combustion chamber, which gave it more of a chance of fouling the plug. So if you got a foul plug, you're not going to do very well. So Smokey decided or figured out that by doing an extended reach plug, let me get the ceramic out further, out away from the plug, that by being further out, it would get hotter and it wouldn't foul out. It would clean itself.
Can I read that
yes.
part? Okay, page 52. So he said, build your own plug. We'll manufacture it and sell it. So I said, okay. My idea then was to extend the tip of the plug into the oncoming fuel charge and let the fuel keep the plugs clean by washing them with high velocity gas air vapor charge. Ooh, vapor.
Mm-hmm.
So on that, okay. No, you tell a story and then I'm gonna follow up with the verbal agreement part.
Okay. Oh yeah.
Because this is something that, like, here we see right here in the book. This is Smokey's idea.
Who came up with extended reach spark plug?
This is Smokey's idea because he says, like, from the very beginning, this is 2 pages now, where he talks about how all of the spark plugs, they all foul out. There's a ton of problems with them. I think actually on this page, shippy spark plugs are the problem. But still, the plug fouled out almost always for the same reason. Like, I highlighted all this stuff, like, he's trying all these different manufacturers. He's taking money from different manufacturers to try the plugs. The plugs keep on being the problem, and he's like, you know what? I want to make my own. So this is his idea, extended reach spark plug.
And he worked with Champion since 1957 until the day he died. He worked as a consultant with Champion spark plugs. But Champion spark plugs, in his opinion, which I used to always had a little bit different opinion, but was a crappy spark plug. After we don't got.
Thank you, hamster.
So I'm gonna buy some spark plugs.
Thank you so much.
Yeah,
we're gonna buy some spark plugs.
So
yes.
So Champion wanted him to run Champion spark plugs.
Oh, wait. I'm sorry. I just gotta see. My friend Brittany, Fast Cars and Slow Cooking, is in the room. By the way, if you do not follow Fast Cars and Slow Cooking on Instagram or YouTube, we've been talking about her starting up her YouTube channel. So if anyone feels like it, give Fast Cars and Slow Cooking, my friend Brittany.
Hometown girl.
Yeah.
So if you were born and raised in San Antonio.
Absolutely.
So.
And you missed her comment from before, which is really important.
Oh yeah, what was it?
She says, I learned last racing season that you can actually read spark plugs, like doing an extremely detailed analysis with a magnifying glass and stuff, that you can tell exactly what adjustments you need. I haven't learned how to read them yet, but I plan on it. That's something Danny taught me years ago.
That is, if you look at look at a thing of what was Smokey doing in every influential race car or race. I even have one I could bring it. He has a magnifying glass with the light, and he's looking down deep in the ceramic. He knew by reading the spark plugs when this engine is done. He knew we're losing bearings. He knew we're losing this. By reading a spark plug, he knew this engine ain't gonna last the rest of the race. Reading spark plugs is an art. I don't think that you can study it but it's really you can pull a spark plug out of a motor, and if you were Smokey Eunuch, you knew this motor has 20 laps in it left, 400 laps in it left.
Wow.
We got too much fuel, we got too much oil, he could tell you everything by reading the spark plugs.
I can tell if burning oil rich or lean, but I could I'm nowhere near that precise. So maybe something I've got to
that's one of my I tell everybody it's almost like camshafts. If you know anything about camshafts, you know nothing about camshafts.
Oh,
I'm just saying. Everybody who thinks they're the guru of camshafts, there's the gurus of camshafts. There's far and few in between. But there's people that know a lot about camshafts. But if somebody says, "Oh, I know camshafts," you're tap your own back, because the more you know about camshafts, the more you know I know nothing about camshafts. It is an art. And spark plug reading is, yes.
I mean,
when we dabble in it, we just look for oil.
I will always pull the plugs. It's like, on the new 7M that I got, on the donor block, or the donor long block, I will always pull plugs, and I will look at them, and I feel like I have a pretty good idea of what's going on. But now that you're saying that, I'm like, ooh, there's probably so much more to it.
It is like my eye doctor looking in my eye and tell me, you should check your cholesterol.
Ooh.
And it is
that actually, have I told you that I can do that?
Mm-hmm.
That was because I started out in pre-med at Harvard. Did I tell you about that?
No.
Yeah, I worked for an eye doctor, so I can actually look into your eye.
You can see your soul through your eyeball. It's not just joking.
No, the beta amyloid plaques in the brain accumulate in the eye.
That's
the real thing. But I gotta say, Pat Cassidy says Vice Grip Garage. Derek reads them all the time. Heck yeah! I mean, reading them and actually knowing them, I feel like it's two different things. Although I don't.
And you get better and better.
Derek's a wonderful guy. Super
yeah,
nice.
and there's things that if you want to get into the basics of reading, the things that you can go is when there's oil consumption.
Yeah.
You know when there's too much fuel, and
you know when it's lean,
and you start knowing the heat range.
Yes.
About the electrode. So you want to get to the basics. Everybody, most definitely.
I feel like I've got the basics under control, and that's.
And then you just get better and you get better. But he could literally tell you how many laps the motor had left in it by reading a plug. And if you go look at some of all the old photos, watch when he's in Indy or whatever. Yeah. He's. That's what he's doing.
There's a picture in this book somewhere of him with a magnifying
glass with light.
Yeah.
The plugs are the heart of the engine. If you could pull one thing off an engine to tell you everything.
Yes. Well, I mean, if you think about it, that is the easiest way without pulling the cylinder head. That's the easiest way to get a little insight into what's going on in the combustion chamber, which is the heart of the engine. It makes total sense.
There wasn't electronics back then. So he could tell the heat in the cylinder.
Yep.
I mean, yes.
Well, you've taught me a lot about color too. It's the color on the crankshaft, for example. You can say this part is hardened because you can tell because the blue, or you've taught me a whole bunch about color of metals.
Yeah.
And knowing what the temperature is that metal has been through just because of the color, based on what the metal even is. But that's.
And when you start going.
But there's a lot of seat time. It's how many spark plugs did he pull? How many engines has he built? I feel like so much of that is something not trial and error, but experience, like real world experience. You can't just know that from looking at the back of, not a Haynes, is it a Chilton manual? That on the back of them they had a little spark plug guy.
Yes.
It's like, all right, you know.
We're thinking of, if we want a tan color, if it's too white it's too lean, if it's too black it's rich. Those are the basics, and you should learn those.
Yeah.
You should learn those.
Yeah. At the very least, gosh, I feel it. I mean, I feel like I know, but it's one of those things, just like.
And you don't need a coil on your.
Know.
You don't need a coil on your lawnmower. You need a magneto. But anyway, I was answering somebody.
Oh.
I'm just joking.
All right. But we were picking up about the spark plug.
Yes.
So this is something that, like, at the very end of this chapter on page 53. Yeah, at the end of this chapter, he talks about he has developed the extended reach spark plug. He makes a deal.
And it was going to be a very lucrative deal.
A very lucrative. Oh my God! Thank you, Hurton.
We should be paying you.
I know, seriously. Actually, Hurton has been a really important. He's helped me out with quite a bit. Anyway. So thank you so much, Hurton.
And he had a killer Halloween costume.
He did.
So did his daughter.
Yep. We loved that. We loved seeing
we
everyone's
didn't share it.
Halloween
We just watched
costume.
it. I don't think we did. We share it on the.
Yeah, we shared it.
Okay,
We shared it. Yeah, some people shared their Halloween costumes and didn't want it to be shared with the live stream, and some people shared their Halloween costumes and didn't care. So yeah, we loved everyone's Halloween costume, and people loved mine.
And I'll go with that.
So
Cheers, Hurton.
Cheers. Oh yeah, wait.
So
yeah, but point being,
it's a good point. I don't know if no, it's very good, because if we want to wrap up whatever. All the things that Smokey did, it didn't get credit for. This is one example of how this deal went down. It was going to be a very lucrative deal, and you probably want to read that.
So he made a verbal agreement with the and now Smokey was a man of honor. Like, if there is one thing that we'll notice is like a theme throughout this entire book, and all of his books so far actually, is that if he says he's going to do something, he follows through, and he treats everyone as equals to himself. And
he looked in the eye and shook your hand. It was a deal.
Yep. Super old school. And you know what? I like that. That's something we actually talked about with like a couple of sponsorships that we've had recently. And it's just like, I don't like working through a third-party company. I don't like uploading my things to some platform for someone to approve of. I want, if you give me a product, I'm going to give an honest answer about it. And like, I don't know. I like being person to person. I love this idea of Smokey Eunuch. He didn't have a ton of contracts. And he got burned. And this was one of those situations where, like...
And he wasn't naive.
God.
Towards the end, we read a little bit that he kind of got a little softer.
He was not naive.
No, he wasn't naive. But he
makes
did see the good...
mistake over and over again.
Well, because
he makes this mistake over and over again.
Good-hearted people often do.
That's the thing. It's like, that's the problem. I feel like there's actually... It's a greater problem in our society, in our culture as well, is that, like, we have a certain moral standard that we hold ourselves to, and we expect other people to uphold that same moral code, those same moral values. I mean, you talk about like a friend-to-friend relationship. You talk about like a person-to-government relationship, or a person-to-leader government, whether that's like a church leader or like a school leader or whatever. It's just like we hold ourselves to a certain standard, and we expect that everyone else is that same way. That is not the case. But in this case, Smokey, after designing the extended reach spark plug,
and it worked.
And it worked great. And why do none of us know that this is Smokey's invention? We all use this. We all touch Smokey's invention every single day if we're mechanics. And yet he does not get credit. He made a verbal agreement with this guy. Mason says, okay, come Wednesday. And after our conversation, we have a verbal agreement where I'm to get 1 mil per plug. There's 10 mils per 1 cent. Well, at 1 million plugs a day, from 55 to 2,000, go figure. Probably 2 times that with worldwide patents. Wanna guess who had a stroke and dies within 24 hours? What luck.
And what was really sad about that was he had tried convincing Mason of this forever.
For a long time.
Forever. And he finally does. And Mason says, okay.
Great.
And then he has a stroke and dies.
And then everyone else at Autolite gets amnesia.
They don't remember. And like Smokey says, I don't blame him. And he even says,
hell, can't really blame him, I guess. My recollection of Mason yet today is a little fat man with balls so big that he had to walk spread-legged to keep from banging him with his ankles.
And
what did I get out of the deal? Same as for the carburetor that 80% of all stock car racers in the world use, which means nothing.
Zero. So it doesn't mean he didn't invent it. He just didn't
so much and didn't get credit.
And who was Mason? Where did Mason come from?
Yeah, that's an interesting story too.
Who wants to answer that? I want that. I shouldn't be throwing any questions in there.
No, throw a question in.
Okay,
what is he like?
Where did Mason come in and where did Mason get his money
Where
from?
did Mason get his money? Mason was Pancho Villa's secretary.
That's right.
Pancho Villa.
That's right.
It's weird about that. Who's that actor? What's his name that has the 7 steps to or 10 steps to whatever? That everything leads to him.
Oh no, Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon.
7 degrees of separation.
7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. Everybody is 7.
Everybody is 7 degrees removed from Kevin Bacon, and it's a pop culture thing where you can associate
and it works. Like it works.
Oh.
Kevin Bacon, the actor. Okay. So it's 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon, and you can actually go, okay, well, I know Jim. Jim knows but sure enough, between 7 people, I know Kevin Bacon or whatever. And so in other words, it's like, so
Bacon,
Smokey
is,
yes.
That's a good name.
Yeah.
For a Hollywood guy.
Yeah.
Hollywood?
Yeah.
Bacon?
And she doesn't watch movies, so don't hold it against her. She's more into working on a car than watching TV. Nothing wrong with that. I'm glad y'all are here, though. So don't go turn it off on me now. Don't leave me now.
6 degrees. So anyway, 6 degrees.
6 degrees.
6 degrees. So we don't judge. But interesting, as you're reading these books.
But yes, Chick-fil-A. I have seen World's Fastest Indian.
She does like that when she watched in the airport. And
I can. No. On the airplane was when I watched Ford versus Ferrari.
Oh, okay.
I've probably seen maybe I can count on my fingers how many movies I've watched, but I have seen World's Fastest Indian. So, yes. Sacrifices to the Gods of Speed. I can prove that I watched it.
Do you have a wall on your yet?
Of course I do.
Yes, I think we all do.
Yes.
So Smokey actually rubbed shoulders with shoulders, whatever. With how interesting that Mr. Mason was Pancho Villa's secretary.
I don't know who Pancho Villa is.
Pancho Villa was a Mexican. Some people call him a revolutionary. He's a historical figure in Mexican culture. But he had to send his money and his wife and children out of the country.
That's right.
And Mason somehow ended up with a bunch of money. So
and then Pancho Villa ended up getting. He died somehow. His wife went to Canada. Where does his wife and kids go? Cuba. And all of a sudden, Mason, which is Pancho Villa's secretary, has all this money, and now all of a sudden he's doing all of these neat things.
He's buying companies.
Who was Mason's secretary?
George Romney.
Who was George Romney?
Mitt Romney's dead.
Mitt Romney's dead. Anyway, sorry.
So, just gonna say that everyone's connected.
Somehow within 6 degrees of
the money keeps on circulating. Well, and here's the thing. So it's I don't know, with all those ties to the Romneys and to the mafia, I wouldn't trust this guy.
So it's just interesting points that he just brings in the book. How did Smokey remember all of these things? I don't go. But anyway, I just thought that was what happened to the spark plug thing. A little thing on. Champion had given him a set of spark plugs. The guy in charge of promoting Champion spark plugs to Smokey to put in the car. Smokey had just put on the set of auto lights or Presto lights on his car.
Oh my God,
we're just about so he put it on the car.
For an hour.
When
we got 2 pages.
When he said put these on the car, Smokey did. Okay, and he won the race. Afterwards, Champion came over. The guy from Champion says, "We want those plugs. We want to take them back to engineering so we can dissect them." And you won the race with those plugs. Smokey didn't want to be a liar, so when he said put those plugs on your car. What Smokey did back in the day, they would run on dirt tracks. So they had 3 or 4 screens in front of the radiator to keep mud off the radiator.
Right, because you plug your radiator, it's not going to cool very well. It overheats.
They would
come up with something creative, right? And these are stock cars.
Yeah,
so they're still basically stock cars.
They would hang nuts and bolts with wire in front of the grill so that it would beat the grill and knock all the mud off. So he hung the Champion spark plugs up there in front.
He hung the spark plugs.
So they were on the car. They were on the winning car.
A man of his word. The spark plugs were on the winning car. Yep. Okay, so we're getting towards the end here.
Yes.
I wanted to talk about the tires as well because I thought this was really interesting. Can we talk about the tires?
Yes.
So once again, there's some rules. The rules specify. Let's see. I know I have it somewhere in the book. Okay, shoot.
I'm not
gonna find it quickly, but basically they had rules on, like, I think it was the tread type and the width maybe of the tire, but not diameter. So he's like, all right, we've got this lame car. It's not very fast. We've got to have some sort of advantage at, what was it, Darlington?
They would run 16-inch tires back then.
Yeah, which is like, really? So he finds these tires.
1955 at Darlington.
Yes, at Darlington. Okay, cool. So, so he finds these tires in a junkyard. And how do those tires even end up in the junkyard? Do you know?
No.
He doesn't really mention how the tires ended up there.
That's where they went and got them from.
Yes.
Because they had no money.
Oh, yeah, but also, like, they were looking for a specific sort of tire. Like, I don't even know how these tires ended up there, but somehow the company, I guess, determined these tires were junk. So Smokey buys these tires from a junkyard, I think, and they say, okay, so the 175 remaining tires got sent to a junkyard in Akron. Wait a second, he decides.
I got on my notes
who liked
Firestar Racing, but
okay. Oh yeah, so someone likes some Dunlop tires better. Someone likes some other. Oh, okay. Wolfer had worked most of his life at Firestone, and he had designed the sports tire for Firestone to be used by Briggs Cunningham at Le Mans on a very heavy Chrysler Hemi-powered car, probably an Allard. The tire was for a 16 diameter rim with white wall on one side and a non-directional tread. Wolfer knew Briggs, who took 25 of 200 to Le Mans to test, and he decided that he liked the Dunlop better. So the 175 remaining tires got sent to a junkyard in Akron. Here's where Maury, one of his helpers, finds the tires. The junk man decides we have to buy all 175 of them. Maury calls me and says, the best is here. I can buy them for $1.50 a piece. I'm sorry, $1.50 a piece. And the junk man ends up taking $1 a piece. So he buys these tires at a junkyard, and somehow he ends up doing very well with them. Mm-hmm. I mean, not somehow. He does well with them. And
because
he cuts the tread down. Oh, yes.
And Smokey figured out way ahead of time. Not only was he making more horsepower, he was doing everything. He saw, no matter what, the time in the pits, you're not going around the track.
Yeah.
So Smokey was one of the first to start doing rapid pit stops.
Yes.
And
you want to keep out of the pits as much as possible.
And if your tires last longer.
Yep.
So it's a hard tire that no one ever wants.
Yes.
But it doesn't wear out. You're not coming in to change tires. He would actually sit on the side of the pit wall with the can of oil. Back then, you had to add oil during the race. You had to add oil during the race. So he would sit there with a torch and a glove, and he would heat the oil up really hot. So when the car would pull in, it would pour faster.
Lower viscosity.
Because it was all about, so who was the first one to come up with a rapid pit stop? He just knew, I can do everything to make the car faster, but if I can save, a minute, back then the pit stops were long. I mean, they would come in and do, like I said, open the hood, add oil. I mean, it was like a slow, change tires with the speed handle. I mean, it wasn't so Smokey did stuff to make the pit stops faster. He was in all aspects of racing. So anyway, here he is.
So his engine. Oh yeah. Here.
Look at him underneath the car. And why did he wear white? He looked black, but on the dirt.
That's what is he doing there? He's heating something up. I
Yes.
don't know what it is.
Yes.
But yes. So the tires are hard as hell on page 62, but we can run them at a lower air pressure. Our corner speed is better, but we are short on the straight. So let's see what even happened. But somehow he was doing really well with them.
He was doing really well because, like I said, they were really hard. But he figured out he could lower the temperature, and the car was faster.
Lower the PSI.
Yes, but then Bill France wanted him to give them to everybody else, because Bill France had just brought in. Who did Bill France just bring in? It was a GM or somebody anyway, or Hemis, whatever. Bill France wanted Smokey had an advantage now. So he didn't want Smokey just to win. He wanted the next corporation. It may have been Chrysler.
It was Chrysler.
To come in. So he said, give them some of those tires too. Well, Smokey was like, what? And I ain't doing it. He even said the F you.
Yeah, and he says, I'm short on horsepower and I'm betting all my marbles on the tires. So they're bigger diameter, so hopefully, like, he can go a little bit faster. The tires are called the Super Sport. They're white wall. We decided to mount them white wall in, and we could do this because they were non-directional, and cut half of the tread off.
And Chrysler was coming in, I did my notes, with a new Hemi.
Yes.
So he had a 265 V8. A 265 small cubic inch V8. And now Chrysler comes in with his new Hemi, their new kid on the block. Bill France doesn't want Chrysler to leave. I want you to stay here. So if we give you a win, that's why it was like, so anyway, he told Smokey, either you give him tires or you're not racing. So,
And Smokey says, well, I'm gonna be gone in the morning. And this is, it's so interesting to me because there are some times where Smokey is just like such a hard bass, and really holds the line. And then there's other times where he gives in. And I feel like there's more to the story than he lets on to. And he's definitely a good politician in terms of like playing Bill France, playing the sponsors, playing the media. Like he does a very good job of working everybody, whether he's sober or a fifth of whiskey in. But anyway, we're way over time.
Yes.
So I want to sort of finish up with, if you did not read the book, if you're just joining us, you are missing out on a ton in this chapter. He goes into his deal with GM and Chrysler. He goes into his deal with Ford. A lot of life lessons.
Yes,
Yeah.
I wish we would have got to Ralph Johnson because
Right,
Ralph Johnson
yes.
is a whole.
Yes.
We could do a whole.
I was gonna mention
we
that.
could just do a whole 1 hour on Ralph Johnson, and I think he deserves that.
Yes.
But there's the Black Widow. There's so much. There's so much. It almost you just can't.
And we really only scratch the surface in these live streams. We could probably make these live streams a full day long.
I mean, we go on for 3 hours.
But anyway, we need to figure out what time we're going to meet again, and what we're going to read too. So I want to hear from you in the chats. Like, what did y'all think about this amount of reading? Was it too little? Was it too much? Was it?
Did you get too fast and then you were just stagnant waiting for us, or was it? It was a lot of reading. It was a lot of reading. It was a lot of reading, but
because my initial thought was like, well, it's 20 pages to if the world had more Deweys, but it's 20 but 20 pages really isn't.
So how are you doing? What
really
do you think, Hurton?
enough.
Since Hurton obviously read it and is there with us, I'm not ragging on anybody else. I mean, maybe now you're going like, I want to be like Hurton.
Yeah, I want to be. But once we get past if the world had more Deweys, we really get into like a lot of the characters, and I feel like the characters themselves, you sort of want to take time. You sort of want to take time to digest each one. And I remember from the first time we read through this book, like we only got through half of it. I really enjoyed researching all of these people online and like looking at pictures of them and reading articles other people wrote about them. So keeping that in mind, as we get into, I think it's the chapter, If the World Had More Deweys, we really start going into all of these characters. Smokey talks about his mother, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, which he very rarely talks about
his family.
His mom and his dad.
Yeah.
And,
so I want to pace ourselves as we go into the character part. I know like some people can get a little bit lost in the characters. Some people might find it a little bit boring. But I mean, maybe it's boring.
Here's John DeLorean. Here's golly, we're
Marshall T.
Yes.
Bill France Sr. So So I would love to read the chapter of Society of Heads Up Basses, Surface Transportation Manufacturers. That's 20 pages going into 97. But I don't want to read too far into If the World Had More Deweys because I want to really give people the opportunity to like dive deeply into these characters. I think we should go beyond 97 to a few of the characters. I don't know.
Suggest 50-ish pages is good.
Hola chinga. That's Spanish for what?
Let's. So what if we?
I want to give maybe when we come back. I know.
Well, so first of all, how much time?
I know that we can't give 5 minutes to Ralph Johnson. I just think that a minute. When we come back in, it ain't gonna be a minute.
Yeah.
But
then is Ralph Johnson in the first one of these?
Well, it was the one that we've already passed. We read
but
it
he
this
comes
time.
in a
We just
little bit
didn't
later.
get to. Yeah, and
Go
we can.
ahead and remind people about where because there's a question in the chat where they can contact Trish for copies of the book.
Oh, that is such a good question. So at the end of every live stream, I always put the link to where to purchase the book. You want to get that from Carbon Press online.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look up this book anywhere else, like we're not just trying to push you to give money to the Eunuch family. Of course, you know, we'd prefer that you give money to the Eunuch family rather than Amazon. But if you try to buy this book on Amazon, it's really expensive. We found this book for like hundreds of dollars on eBay as well. The cheapest place to buy the book is Carbon Press, which you can see this little picture. And if you read the first book, you know that Carbon was Smokey's dog, his black lab, right? Carbon Press still is run by the Eunuch family, Smokey's daughter Trish. All the proceeds go to the Eunuch family, and it's the book. This book is the most expensive of the 3 books. I think this one's $45. The other 2 are like $35. But still, like, this book has so much knowledge and information in it, and it's so much automotive history.
I'm gonna give back to our viewers.
Oh yeah.
Something that's really it's hard for me to do.
Oh, and you can also one more thing. You can also get the ebook. So it's a lot cheaper if you want to. If you have an iPad or a Kindle or whatever, you can get this as an ebook and read along with us that way. I'm sorry, you were saying?
I'm still vacillating now because I have it on my.
Think about it.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna think about it.
I know what you're thinking.
You just what I'm thinking.
And we are way over time.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
All right.
Yes.
So Shop Mom, what is the Wednesday after December 3rd?
The Wednesday after December 3rd will be
Yes.
the 8th.
Okay, so the 8th. So we will be meeting again on December 8th for book club at what time, Shop Mom?
I think we should shoot for 5 o'clock. That gives us a little bit more time and daylight.
Okay, it's getting darker, so we're going to do 5 o'clock rather than 5:30. So Wednesday, December 8th at 5 o'clock, we're going to meet again for book club. And I think we should read until page 121, the Ralph Johnson chapter. So we're going to read up until Ralph Johnson because this is someone near and dear to our hearts. We really want to sort of focus on Ralph Johnson. We don't want him to get lost. So we are on page 77 now. You've got several weeks. We'll get a little bit of vacation time for Thanksgiving. So happy Thanksgiving, everybody. And so I don't know. Let's take this time. Let's focus on. I love the chapter If the World Had More Deweys. I really love that one. I think that the Society of Heads Up the Basses transportation manufacturers gives a really good look into the struggle of getting the major automotive manufacturers to participate in racing at all. That's a really good. All of this, I know it's not a ton to read. We're going 77 to 121. That's kind of close to 50 pages there, but it's dense. And if you feel yourself, if you've already read, far beyond this, I encourage you to please take the time to look into every single one of these characters. Research them, look up pictures of them, read articles that other people have written about them, deep dive into these characters because these are the people that have made automotive racing and automotive history, automotive products, automotive manufacturers, what they are today. Just looking back at this chapter, we started out with the fabulous Hudson Hornet. Obviously Hudson is no longer, but because of racing, Smokey talks about how the sales of that car went up quite a bit. I mean, almost like a third.
It was the best car. It was really interesting because in Smokey's opinion, it was one of the best cars out there that you could buy.
Yep. So if you have this book, if you have the soft cover, you have the hardcover. Is yours the same?
From 77 to 121?
Is it 121? So 121, page 121 is what we'll be reading to if you have the soft cover. We're going to be reading to Ralph Johnson.
Yes, on 121. It's on this one as well.
So don't read Ralph Johnson. We're going to stop there.
You can go ahead and read Ralph Johnson. Just don't share it with everybody else till we get there.
Yeah, that's what we're going to be covering. So we're starting at page 77. We're reading to 121. We're giving you plenty of time, including the Thanksgiving break, to read this part of the book.
December what again?
December 8th, Shopma?
Yes.
December 8th,
At
Wednesday,
5 o'clock.
December. at 5
Put it
o'clock.
in my notes.
I'll put it in my notes too.
And as Superman says, and I love his name, Superman.
I love it.
Peace and assembly grease and pray for the
Oh,
hostage.
we'll pray for our hostage.
I didn't know we had a hostage.
We do.
Oh.
It's a late hostage.
Okay.
A late hostage. Well, here's the thing. We are always so sorry for those of you, the hostages, who are literally chained down and forced to watch this live
And
stream.
you finally got enough loose that you used your nose to hit that,
yeah.
and you didn't just push yourself away.
Yeah.
But
I'm so sorry for them. I mean, their life.
And a thumbs up or thumbs down in the algorithms.
Yeah.
Still the same. So,
Exactly. Whether you give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down, you're still helping my.
You're still helping the channel.
You're still helping.
I know you're
me,
trying
so.
to take it away now.
All right. Well, you're
my
failing.
nose.
That's fine. That's fine. Hey, hit the thumbs down if you really hated this.
Oh, hey, you were here, so we appreciate it.
Yeah.
And
so
actually, I think those are just jealous people.
Oh yeah. Actually, I think one of them is my neighbor who doesn't like the fact that yeah.
All right.
Who doesn't like all of my cars parked on the street and all over the driveway. So, thank you so much for being
Thanks
here.
everybody. Yes, this was a good one. This was really nice.
Thank you so much for the super chats. We really look forward to seeing you on the 8th again for our next installment of book club. Also on the 3rd. So that is the Friday after Thanksgiving, if I'm not mistaken, Shop Mom.
Yes.
On the 3rd, we will be doing our happy hour at 3:30. That Friday at 3:30
ASE questions, because those are now just
and we will be doing the ASE test questions. So thank you so much for being here, and I will, as soon as this video is over and after I drive home, I will post a link to where to buy the books. If you want to catch up with us, you can. In peace
and assembly grease.
and
Thank
assembly
you.
grease. Thanks for being here.
Cheers.